All right, and welcome to this edition of the EV Revolution Show. My name is Kenneth Bokor, your host for this episode, as we catch up on some of the news stories over the last couple of weeks or so, as I've been scouring the internet to try to find a few things to talk about of interest today. Just again, a reminder, if you're interested in buying a Tesla and you want some free supercharging credits or kilometers and miles, you can use my code here, and that'll set you up. So follow all the links for the code. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and let me get to some of the stories for today. All right, so it's another month or so, and October EV sales are out, and I'll quickly just recap them. As you can see here, the Tesla Model 3 is by far leading the pack. It will be the #1 all-electric vehicle, or EV, on the globe for this year for plug-ins. Anyway, great to see sales. Total sales are 2.12 million. Now remember, last year we did about 2.2 to 2.3, so we only need a couple 100,000 units to surpass last year's. So it looks like we'll finish the year at about 2.5, 2.6-ish, maybe squeeze 2.7. Depends how things go. Now, as you guys know, for brands, Tesla is the #1 brand at 352,000 and change. As you can see, the other players rounding up the top 10. All in all, a good month for October, and it looks like this year is going to be pretty good. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you would have saw a little while ago I tweeted about GM boosting revenue for committing more into the all-EV marketplace as they want to leverage their investments and get on the bandwagon by throwing more money. Chairman and CEO Mary Barra revealed that the company is going to offer 30 all-electric models globally. So by 2025, 40% of these units will be U.S. entries with battery electric vehicles by the end of, as I mentioned, 2025. They're throwing money at this. They're upping their older commitment of $20 billion, now upping it to $27 billion through, again, the first 5 years. And that's to deal with building more EVs and AVs, autonomous vehicles, as well, as they want to invest in that. So some of the key takeaways is that those EVs that they're going to launch within the next 5 years in this decade will be all around the world, and more than 2/3 of them will be in the U.S., or specifically, in North America. They'll come from Cadillac, GMC, Chevrolet, and Buick will be the divisions that will have these EVs. They're increasing their engineering and advancing the state of the Ultium battery packs. They're increasing range as well from Ultium. They're going to up it to about 450 miles. That's most likely going to be EPA miles once it's been tested on a full charge. That's quite significant depending on the pack that you get. And more than half of their capital spending will be on product development for the electric and the AV programs. Now, GM's are also working on their second generation Ultium chemistry, and that's to basically focus on producing more energy density at less than half the cost of today's chemistry, which is great. I don't know what that chemistry is. I'm sure if somebody has it, they can put it into the comments here. That's great, because we know that we need to get the yardsticks moving forward even more to get battery costs down, to get costs down on EVs, to get them comparable to internal combustion vehicles. Now, GM is already prototyping testing on this next generation technology, and that's supposed to be out in the next few years as well. So great to see GM step up and pour more money into it, and let's keep our eyes and see what happens. Now, sticking with major OEMs, Volkswagen has announced that their commercial vehicle plant that's in Hanover in Germany is going to be retooled, and some significant investments are going to be poured into that plant to make more electric vehicles. VW is going to commit about 680 million euros, so it's about $807 million US, into this plant. It's a multi-brand plant. Now remember, VW Group is comprised of a dozen or so brands, so a few of the different brands will be built here. Their vehicles will be built here, and they're going to look at developing and building 3 fully electric D/SUV models, and that's going to be predominantly flagship projects as they want to make these EVs. They're going to be premium vehicles, they're going to be 100% electric, and they'll be highly automated. So all the stuff that we see everybody starting to do. Production will start in 2024, so just in about 3-4 years. So let's wait and see what happens there. But again, I'm very happy to see VW continuing with the investments in all different facets of their business. And just a quick video that came out, you're seeing a little bit of it now. It's Tanner Faust driving the all-new Volkswagen ID.4 around a track. taking it for some of its limits just to get a feel for what it's capable of. So it's a great vehicle that he says because of the balance of it, the instant torque, of course, the weight, low center of gravity that we know EVs have, all these things. He has a lot of fun taking it around a track, and I'm not going to play the whole video. It's a couple of minutes long, but definitely check it out. Just kind of shows a little bit more about the ID.4, about how we expect it to handle on real life situations. There are already some very limited reviews coming out on some pre-production, and this is a pre-production prototype, so it's not going to have all the bells and whistles. It's going to have some software glitches, that kind of stuff right now. But just again, great to see what EVs are capable of if you're unsure, so check out the video. And not to be outdone, Hyundai and Kia Genesis, of course, they're all one in the same from a company standpoint, have developed a new e-platform called the eGMP. That's going to underpin their next generation of electric vehicles sold across the Hyundai Motor Group brands, again, including those that I mentioned. Some of the stats about this new platform is that it's going to have 800-volt hardware. So we should expect some faster charging speeds from those because of the underlying 800 volts. They're going to start, and I talked about this, I think, a few shows ago, about the Ioniq brand. That'll be their branding for their electric cars moving forward, electric vehicles moving forward from these ones. They're going to start with the Ioniq 5, and there's already some spy shots here, some pictures of some people, what they think the Ioniq 5 is, booting around getting field tested. It's going to be an electric crossover vehicle that's going to be revealed next year. It's going to be based on the retro-styled 45 EV concept. There's also going to be an Ioniq 6, which will be a sedan, which will arrive sometime in 2022, apparently. And then there's going to be a larger Ioniq 7, which is an SUV, larger SUV due in 2024. Again, the emphasis on this platform is a longer wheelbase with short overhangs, so you get a flat passenger floor, of course, and allowing a much more wide accommodation of seat arrangements and interior things that you can do for creature comforts and all that kind of stuff. So I like to see that. It's also going to be the most power-dense system that Hyundai Motor Group has ever created. It's about 10% more density than the current EVs with lighter packs, using pouch standard cells in different layouts and quantity. I'm not sure the manufacturers, but I'm sure they probably have a couple of suppliers for the cells. They're saying that vehicles built on this new platform will have a base driving range of more than 311 miles on the WLTP cycle. So let's take 20% off of that. So, you know, the high 275, 280, 285 type range miles, of course, so you can do the conversion yourself. And of course, they are going to support up to 350 kilowatt CCS fast charging. So that's good. Again, that works in combination with that 800 volt architecture. Now, also another little tidbit is that this platform is being designed for bidirectional charging right from the start. So we'll be able to do things like vehicle to load functionality. They'll have a charging control unit instead of an onboard charger, all that good stuff. And you can supply up to 3.5 kilowatts of power for accessories. So good to see the investments and the plans for Hyundai taking shape. And I'll be curious to see and watch, keep our eyes on this and see what comes out. And just a quick announcement that came out from the Japanese government, that they're going to continue to have subsidies for EVs, especially all electric vehicles, and they're actually going to double the subsidies for them, starting with a budget that they're outlaying for the next couple of years. That will include both privately owned vehicles as well as commercial company fleet vehicles. The current incentive right now for battery electric vehicles is 400,000 yen, which is about 3,200 euros. They're going to raise it to 800,000 yen or 6,400 euros, and that again is EVs that are to be charged exclusively with electricity from renewable energy, because Japan is really pushing people to get into renewable energy. So whether their provider is using some form of renewable energy, or they have their own self-generated solar power or green power purchase from energy companies, whatever, all qualify for this. Now Japan itself has set a target, a goal of zero net greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, and they've tightened their emission targets as well for vehicles going into 2030 and beyond. So good to see, if you live in Japan, that you'll be able to get some more dollars to help you get into an EV. And finally, a little story I found neat, because I always like to see when different vehicles are greened. And this is a company called Green Machine, actually headquartered out of Scotland. They presented a street sweeper, you know, those things that go around and clean the streets. We all need them, that's for sure. And this is powered by hydrogen, so a little bit different. They do have a fully electric version of this as well. So they've got two different models. And the hydrogen is based on the battery electric platform as well. It'll have some nuances that you can have different types of hydrogen, whether it's exchangeable tanks or single fills, and then you go refueling. But they want to address customers that have both hydrogen refueling infrastructures and with and without that. So they're going to do that. They haven't revealed prices, but I'm assuming that this is going to be, we'll start seeing some of these in the UK at some point, cleaning streets, and hopefully it'll branch out, because certainly any municipality and area that uses these machines will benefit from zero emissions. All right, and that's it for this edition of the EV Revolution Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. Always appreciate you watching on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Put some comments, like the video if you like it. I always get a few people that don't like it, whatever. I try to do my best, folks, and send me some ideas if you want to hear stories, if you want me to talk about different topics, of course, on the show. Please send it to me on the email and comments, or in comments as well. Again, I always want to thank my Patreon supporters. You know who you are. If you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, please check out the link for more information. As we get nearer to the Christmas holidays, it's going to be different this year with what's going on, but hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They're talking about vaccines. I'm learning more about it myself through the different resources here. There's going to be a very interesting year next year as we come through this. So we only have a little while to go, folks, another few months. So please, everybody stay safe, follow your local health guidelines. We will get through this all together and stay safe. Lots of stuff happening in the EV world, as you can see, so continue to follow the marketplace. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't. I do a lot of stuff almost every day. I'm doing something on Twitter. A lot of the articles and the stories that don't make it into the show, I'm putting it out on Twitter, because there's so much information. I would have hour-long shows or more than that if I were to capture everything. So I just try to capture snippets of stuff that's going on. So follow me there, and again, keep your eyes and ears peeled on the EV revolution. And until the next time, everybody stay safe, and I'll see you when I see you. Take care, and bye-bye.